welcome to Love You to Lifeland. It's time for another episode of the podcast.
Maybe I should do song this time.
What?
I'll do a dance this time.
No, your dancing is just not, no. Do y'all know that Cal used to think
She
used to think she was MC Hammer? She had some MC Hammer pants and the shoes, and she really thought that she was like that. She thought she really had the moves.
First of all, why are you saying it in the past tense?
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. When we have our first live event, Cal has to dance on stage. That needs to be it. Why not? Cal has to dance on stage. Honestly, though, she really does love dancing. Now, whether or not she got it like MC Hammer, I don't know. Not for me to judge. She can use her gift.
I forgot, is you a dancer?
No, I'm not. Which is why I always open up the Love You Life podcast with me dancing. Because guess what? In Love You to Lifeland, you just fly. Just soar and Love You to Lifeland.
You can be whatever you want in Love You to Lifeland.
You can be whoever you want to be in Love You to Lifeland.
You can be a dancer.
All right, welcome guys to the podcast. As usual, we start off clowning. We're gonna tighten it up. We're gonna tighten it up and get serious. Okay, here's what we're talking about today. One of the things that we've both been talking about and thinking about is how much fear is really in our world right now. Like, if you don't pay attention to it, you could be walking around tight like a mug, like just really scared. In a matter of a couple of seconds, if you open up your phone and scroll through your feed or scroll through Yahoo or any kind of news report, my God, what the old folks say, my God, today. I mean, it's just, whether it's the gas prices, Cal was clutching her pearls about the gas prices this week. Whether it's gas prices, I was clutching my pearls about grocery prices. Diapers and milk, my God, today, right? Or whether it is, if you have someone in the military and hearing about the war that is happening right now and the loss of life that's happened over there. Or if you're just thinking about the next executive order that's going to come out and what that's about to do. And if that's affecting your industry or not, right? So in so many ways, there are so many opportunities in our daily lives now, even more than before, to maybe experience fear or to have fear show up. And if you don't pay attention to it, fear can be so super sneaky because sometimes fear shows up and it sounds better than it is. It sounds like it's going to help you. But if you don't mess around, you're going to find out that you're not in the protective fear. You're in a fear that really is not going to help you move forward. And Cal, you were talking about this devotion that you read this week that really kind of started you thinking about where you were in your faith and your belief and things like that. You want to talk to the people? You going to tell them?
Yeah, so y'all know we love a good devotion over here, right? So this one, and I'll make sure I link it around. This one is from Marshawn Evans Daniels. And basically, we love Marshawn real bad over here.
We do.
But this devotional, I don't, I go through the different ones at different days, but this one, and the one that in particular was about Matthew 21 and 22. And in there, she said she was kind of going through it. And sometimes I laugh, y'all, because I really do say, like, Jesus must have been sitting on Marshawn's shoulder the entire time.
Literally does say that. She literally does say that.
I really do, because, since I don't go through it every single day, it's like, how did it just happen to be the right thing for today? That rainbow word. But anyway, so she was saying that she thought that the formula for faith was ask, believe, receive. And as she was going back through that scripture, she was like, that's not it. It's believe, ask, receive. And what I was really thinking about, like, is I believing enough for the things that I'm praying for? Because when we start to talk about belief, it's not necessarily that, like, faith and fear can exist in the same space, but the reality is, like, one of them suckers got to win. Like, it's not 50-50. Somebody got to be on top. And when you believe, that means that you have an internal alignment, that knowing, that clarity, that surety, that not necessarily that everything's going to be perfect, but that you can trust that things are going to be good. And the idea that you have to get there before you ask, I think sometimes y'all, we be asking before we actually believe. And so that piece being out of order, that was really, really meaningful for me, because I do want to make sure all the time when you're looking for something, particularly like a transition, something bigger, something better, you do need to make sure that you are in the right position to receive it. And if all of your decisions are being made from a place of fear and not belief, it's
Then
probably not the case. It's
yeah.
probably not happening. So, um, that was just something that kind of popped up for me. And, I think I'm probably a person that in general, I kind of just like do things. I
What?
would call myself a scaredy cat. I'm not a scaredy cat. I generally, people probably think of me as in general as a confident person.
Okay.
But part of the thing is, I'm not confident because I always know everything.
Mhm.
I'm not confident because I over research, because that's not what your girl does, right?
Yeah.
There's an
Yeah.
old Colin Powell quote, I think. I'm a double check, but if I'm wrong, I'll give credit to the right person, but I really want it to be Colin. But he said, and honestly, I think this was really in relationship to like how he chooses what he was like, how he made like decisions for the military. He's like, there's never gonna be a time where I have 100% of the information. So I have to trust that the 80% that I have is enough. So my question for y'all, not without giving y'all a full headlock, my question is,
What?
are you waiting for 100% when you already got 75?
Oh. What about that? I think that especially for the people in our community and high achieving Black women, I think we really do like 100%.
Mhm.
I think we really do like it. But there's something to be said about like, hey, I don't want to overthink this.
Right.
I want to move when I really feel like I have the energy for that movement. When
Mhm.
this idea that I think is really inspired, I want to be able to take action on that inspired idea. But for us, many times, because we are those high achievers, because we put so much weight and credibility in having a plan after a plan and a triple,
Mm.
that I think many times we are not gonna move unless we think it's 100%. Like, we think we have to have 100% before we take action. Because and I alluded to this earlier on how sneaky fear can be. Like, we really need to know that fear, and Cal, you talk about this so eloquently when you talk about fear is designed for protection. It is
Uh-huh.
not designed for permanence, right? It's
Mhm.
really like, hey, pay attention to your surroundings. You're walking in a dark alley. It is like, slow
Mhm.
down, slow down. It is icy on the road. It
Right.
is, you are in a new neighborhood. Look around and know who is around you, right?
Right.
So it is designed for those moments, crisp, clear moments of protection. But many of us, I think, are living in a state of like permanent fear that is
Perpetual.
yeah, perpetual, that is so undercover. It's like, I just want to protect you from.
Oh, not fear making Google attention.
I think that's how fear be showing up. It be like, girl, you don't want to do that, friend. Go ahead, fear. Fear just, that's how I think it shows up. When what we really want to be able to do is to identify when it's sneaky, when it's undercover, and what it sounds like for each of us, because it may sound differently. So for some of us, it might be like, is that wise? Is that a
Mhm.
is that a wise decision?
Mhm.
Some of us may be like, I'm a plan. What did they say? How do they say that? I'm a plan for the best, but I'm a hope for the best, but plan for the
Pray for the best and prepare for the worst. Yeah, all those
right.
lines. Yeah.
Like that doesn't like. So I think there are some times when fear is so sneaky, but it sounds catchy that we don't
Mhm.
pay attention to the fact that we might be holding ourselves back, looking for perfection, looking for 100%, and those two things don't usually show up.
The Holy Ghost just dropped the word for the
Oh,
people.
Lord. Oh my God. Now we
It
agree.
didn't come up before. It's not in my notes. So who did it come from? It didn't come from me. It had to come from the Holy Ghost.
Okay, what
Because
is it?
I work with therapists, and y'all know I love y'all real, real bad. But I'm gonna say this, particularly for high performing therapists, right? Y'all have made overthinking an Olympic sport.
Mhm. Yeah.
And here's the problem with overthinking, right? You're still gonna be at 80%. you you at 70 now when you started, you got to 80. Because
Right.
overthinking feels productive, but it's not. It feels productive because you really do, like, your mind be racing, and sometimes you'll be really exhausted from it. Honestly, like, you could be physically depleted from overthinking, from that
Easily.
worrying, from all of that. It feels like you're really doing something when actually you haven't done the thing. Right? So I think there is a lot of room when we start talking about fear. It's not that fear is, the enemy necessarily, because it does have a purpose. When we're talking about like the biological function of it and all of that, it is designed to keep you safe. It is not designed, like, fear is your brain's function, your nervous system's function, right? There is chemicals released into your body, all of that creates this feeling of fear. However, fear will not allow you to live your best life.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
will keep you alive, but in the life that do you want that life?
Right. Right. Yeah. Is it a life
So
that you enjoy? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's really important that we get really curious about how it's showing up in our lives, because and let's just be honest, in 2026, as
Okay.
a black woman, I'm gonna
Mhm.
talk to black women who,
Okay.
I heard a statistic recently. I don't want to misquote it. If I misquote it, I'll correct it in the show notes. But
Okay.
I think the quote was something like, Black women are accounting for 50% of all the jobs lost in the last year.
It would not surprise me. It was hundreds of thousands of Black women laid off
So
months
when you
ago.
look at the loss of jobs, Black women have a disproportionate percentage of that on our shoulders. So imagine you are just, like, so you may think you're not scared, but you're
Yeah.
just carrying it, right? It's just on you. It's just something you're carrying around. Every time the email pops up, you wondering if that's it. Every time somebody adds a meeting to your calendar, you wondering if that's it, right? Those kind of things that show up. And we talked about don't let your family kill you a couple of weeks ago, but
It
you have that family member that if you see their name come across your phone, you already like, here they go again. I wonder what they need now. Let me check my account.
Yeah, what they need now, for sure. Yeah, because we have really started to wear that backbone and bank title and label in our families and in our circles as if it's a badge of honor without really talking about how we got here, right? So I think so many high achieving Black women have begun to take that on as our responsibility, our role, and our identity.
Yeah.
And it doesn't leave a lot of room for creativity. It doesn't leave a lot of room for flexibility. It doesn't leave a lot of room even for hope. That's
Yeah.
why we plan on, plan on, plan on, plan on, plan. If somebody gonna take an extra shift at work, a lot of it's gonna be us now. You know that for us, we want a plan A, B, C, D, and E. We don't
Yeah.
believe in just
And
plan
here's
A.
the thing, we be proud of it, y'all. We be
Sure do. Sure do. Sure do.
so proud of that. We be like, yeah, I knew, and I prepared, we are so proud of it. And so I think there's a conversation to be had about that, right? Like, it's not like I want everybody to just run around being irresponsible, but are you limiting the life that you could be loving because you're spending so much time maybe overcompensating for other people, being overly responsible for things that's really not your responsibility,
Yes.
carrying a burden that was not yours to carry? Like, those fears, it's not just like somebody shivering in a corner, right? They're not, that's not necessarily the way we carry. We talked a lot about, like, what depression looks like in Black women and different things. And so we really kind of need to probably talk about what anxiety looks like in Black women, because it's not always the same. And I've talked about that a lot of times. Like, I think, and it's not, this is a generalization. I think there's a lot of times in my experience, what I have seen is that anxiety in African American women in particular looks controlling.
Right. Micromanaging every single detail and having a hard time when something does not go the way you planned. If that is you, if I just called you out, I love you. Please don't be mad at me, but consider that that is not like you're a great programmer. I mean, a good planner. you're just the one who can put it together. That is probably anxiety. And you really want to be aware of it, because it ends up being something that will stall you. It ends up being something
Mm.
that is hard to live with. If you're the one who has to make the schedule and you really struggle when the schedule doesn't go exactly how you want, that is probably hyper controlling and anxiety showing up in a way that looks like it's something that's useful. And I told you I told you fear was sneaky like a mug. I told y'all that.
If that was hard for you, take a breath.
Right, right. Cause here in Love You to Life land, we want you. Okay, I was just thinking about Claire Huxtable when she was doing the episode of the Cosby Show when they did Theo's holiday. And yeah, in Furniture City.
Guys, can
Yeah.
we get through an episode without talking about the Cosby Show? Is that even possible?
So
I
yeah.
mean, we got to get Felicia and Debbie to watch an episode or something, because I mean, the way that we reference the Cosby Show in a different world, we should be getting some residuals up in this piece.
Look, are they getting their residuals? That's the real question. Another reason why Black people have plan on plan on plan on plan. We understand where it comes from, y'all.
Right.
We're just saying that if we plan on living a different life, if we say that our ancestors got us to this point for us to be able to do it differently, then we do have to be aware of the ways in which we're not doing it differently. Like, we do have to be aware of the ways in which we're doing it as if we are the ancestors. And they had every reason, like living through trauma and the Jim Crow, the slavery, all of it. And I know for us today, we like, is we back there? Is we back in? I mean, is we back at Jim Crow? Like, that might be crossing our minds. And if you're a Black mama to a Black son, you already like, what? What? Right? So we're not saying that there's not reason for our community to maybe be vigilant. We're just saying, when it comes to how you're living your everyday life and whether or not you're willing to take a chance on you, on your hopes and your dreams, we just don't want you to let fear talk you out of it. That is what we are
Right.
saying.
Right. And here's how it shows up, guys. It shows up as you not taking a risk. So you having an opportunity, somebody presents you with an opportunity, right? So and like this, a perfect example. Maybe you have a friend who's starting a business, or you have an opportunity to pitch a contract or something. And rather than you putting your hat in the ring, you just assume it's not going to work out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you don't take the risk. You don't want to get your hopes up. Have you
Oh,
said that? Have you
ooh,
said don't get your hopes up?
that sounds like something somebody would say. Don't get your hopes
Mm.
up. I don't want to get my hopes up.
Right.
Well,
So
go ahead.
for some of us,
Yeah.
we were not allowed to dream without conditions being placed on us.
Mm,
So everything was be realistic,
yeah.
right? And here's the thing, and I have to just kind of say, as a parent, this is a hard one, because you do want to prepare your children for the real world. I was watching the episode of Blackish, so Blackish is on Netflix right now. And it was an episode, and I'm assuming it was probably like 2020 when it came out, 2019, 2020. And they were talking about having conversations with your children about like race and the police and things like that. And it is a hard thing, because you want to protect your children's innocence and give them a childhood, but you also don't want them to make the wrong move in front of like in a dangerous situation. So being like, knowing how to do that, even just holding space for, what should I do? Am I doing the right thing? That can show up, right? And so I think sometimes that does trickle down to create like damage in relationships and discomfort and dysfunction in relationships. Like I know people where one partner was the responsible one who overly worried, and the other partner was just kind of, hopping around like bunny cotton, a little bit of bunny cottontail or whatever. So though having those experiences does create that narrative. Another one I see all the time, and this kind of goes back to the Colin Powell quote, right? Choosing not to make a decision. Not
Yeah.
making the decision is making the decision, friend. It's
Yeah.
making the decision. It's just
Yeah.
making the decision that feels the most safe in that moment. But when you have an opportunity and you're choosing not to move forward with that opportunity, or you're saying like, I'm gonna give it some thought.
Mm. Oh,
I'ma pray about it.
ooh, I was finna say that. You took my line.
Go say, I feel like I do the kids. You can say it. Go ahead.
Say it. Let me pray about it. It's not as powerful now. You said
It
it.
was it was a good try.
But that's the truth. Do you know
Right.
how many times people talking about they got to pray about something? Do you know how many times? And here's the thing: we are praying people. Calvalyn told you earlier about her devotion time. So we are praying people. There is a role and there is room in our lives to ask God for guidance if you believe in God, right? So we are not anti-prayer, but there are some times when Jesus probably like, now you know I already told you gonna do that. What are we talking about that for? Why are we still talking about that? We 10 years in, you still talking about you praying about something? And that's another way for you to look and see if this is you. If you know that you had an inspired idea 5 years ago and you still haven't taken action, what are you doing? What are you waiting on? When is going to be the right time? And I want to offer you this because I opened up telling you about our world and how we feel living in this world that feels so uncertain. People need you to come out with your inspired idea. What are you waiting on? What are you waiting for? You know, I heard a woman today, she shared that she got married and I think 30 days later was told she had 60 days to live. Right. And she seemed like she was probably in her late 20s, maybe early 30s. I don't know, she did not disclose what the diagnosis was. She is still here and appears to be doing well. She talked about the fight that she ended up having and showed pictures of herself in the hospital and things like that. But one of the things that happened, she said one of the first things that happened was that she went back and reread a book that she wrote a long time ago that she had never released. And she felt like if she was not going to be around, she was going to release that book. So as she reread the book, now listen to this, as she reread the book, what was in the book helped her to fight through that medical challenge. And
My
now
God.
the book is out and she out too. She out here in the world looking like she's doing well and the book is out too. Right? And so when you think about like every single minute of your life matters and somebody wishes that they had the time on the clock that you currently have because they didn't, what are you waiting on?
Mm.
To go there. I had to go there. What are you waiting on? Listen, when my counseling practice is I think this year 15. I'll be losing track sometimes.
16.
16. Okay, you're 16. Let me tell you something. I remember standing in my kitchen and saying, Lord, look, I've had other businesses that were not successful, and I don't really feel like not having another successful business. So what is we doing? And I felt like the Holy Spirit reminded me of this story in the Bible. I went back and read it. When I read it, I knew what he was saying. He was saying, go again. He was saying, this ain't that. And this has not been that. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. He was like, I was thinking about you. Do you know how long you've been in business? I was like, I actually do.
Yeah.
Right? I actually do. And so that's what we have to do. We have to just decide. Is that fair?
Mhm.
To decide
Mhm.
that we are willing to take the risk because the possibility of the outcome is bigger and better than the possibility of the failure. And here's the other thing, and this has come to my mind 2 or 3 times. If you are afraid to get married again, if you are afraid to be booed up again, I I mean, Cal, if this fits for
Is she
you,
talking
then
to me?
if this fits for you, then take it. I wasn't, I didn't put your
Don't
name
step
on
on my toes.
I didn't put your name on it, but I'm just saying, if you had a bad relationship and that relationship did not work, or you just were disappointed, you grew apart, whatever the case may be, and you feel like I will never, not never, ever, ever, don't do it. Don't do it. Be willing to get back out there. Be willing to date again. Be willing to be open to the idea of having a relationship if you really want to be booed up. I said what I said.
Okay, well, I'm not scared. I just don't want to right now. So you wasn't talking to me.
Say I was talking to you. I'm
Just
just
making
saying.
sure.
I thought about that. I just thought about that. Okay, next.
But here's the thing, guys. We talked about this concept a little bit in when we had the Love Your Life Club. So we thought we would bring it over here to the Love Your Life podcast. There's this concept, and it's a little bit woo woo. So stay with me. But there's a concept that says there's only two energies in the world, right? There is love and there is fear. Not love and hate, but love and fear. And if you really think it down, like down to what boils it down, like most of the time when we think about people who hate other people, there's some semblance of fear underneath it, right? So The key for you is not that you can completely eliminate fear, but that you want to make your decisions in a state of love, that you
Right.
want to make your movements in a state of love. That fear can influence a decision. It can, like having that concept of being safe, that's not a bad thing, but that it
Mhm.
shouldn't be the determining factor. The determining factor should be love. So if you are in like what we might call a primal or a fear state, you're focused on all the things that can go wrong,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? You are
Mhm.
focused on how can I stay safe, or what's, what's the worst that could happen, right? Worst case scenario. There, my favorite show, This Is Us. They used to have this game like let's play worst case scenario, and they would talk about the worst possible thing that could happen. And in there, obviously in the show that like it's just getting it out in the air allowed them to say like, okay, bet now we can go do what we need to do, right? But if you spend all of your time thinking
And we're
about the worst case scenario,
Mhm.
there's a good chance that you're never going to get to the best.
Right.
So you
Okay.
want to spend more time in that powerful, that love, that faith field, which is not what's the worst that can happen, but what's the best that could
Right.
happen. What's
Yeah.
actually possible. Like I know, there's some bad things, like as creative as we get. And I always laugh, like people with anxiety are very creative with how bad things can get. Can we
Right.
just give a fraction of that energy to the way that it could turn out in your best behavior? Maybe it won't be $1 million idea, but could it be a six-figure one up in this point, right? Can you lean onto the things that you trust, whether that be your own ability because you are a competent and skilled individual, or your faith, right? When you're looking behind you and saying, like, well, this didn't work or that didn't work. Okay, but is it possible that it could work in the future? When we sit wherever you are sitting today listening, you have survived 100% of your worst days ever.
Mhm.
Every bad day that you've had, every scary situation that you don't know how you were going to overcome it. Today, you
Yep.
got 100% track record of surviving that stuff. So there's a good chance that in the future, you'll still be able to survive it. It may not be as easy as you want. It may be a little bit more scary than you thought. It may require some changes or some adjustments. But if you can survive it, there's an opportunity for you to have something better on the other side. And I think you said you were going to share a little bit about that moment when you decided to have my perfect baby niece and what that looked like. And I think this is a perfect example of, going back to our quote, like not having 100% certainty, because they did not give your girl 100% certainty, but we got the 100% perfect baby niece that I
Right. So, my husband and I did IVF multiple times over probably a 10 or 12-year period, and it didn't work. When we went back this last time, I really thought like, okay, I know our baby's coming. I don't really know if it's this cycle. Still, I don't know if it's this cycle or not, but I know that we're going to have our baby. And so everything was going great. I'm taking all the medication. I'm getting my ultrasounds. Everything's going great until like 3 days before I'm supposed to have the transfer. You get an embryo, I'm supposed to have the embryo transfer. And so I'm like, what do you mean there's this problem? So they're looking on the ultrasound. They're like, hey, there's a little fluid in there, and we don't always want to put the embryo in with the fluid. And I said, well, what are our options? And my doctor was like, well, we could just do another cycle, like not do this one and wait a few weeks and then do a cycle. And that was an option for me. I wasn't saying no to anything at the moment. And I said, "What other options do we have?" He says, "Well, we've drained fluid before and put in embryos." And I said, "Has that been successful?" He said, "I think that's happened once or twice out of every time he's done it." So, not great odds, right? Not what you want to hear. And I said, "Give me the weekend." So, if we got, a couple of more days, give me the weekend. Let me think about it. And so I just did that. I thought about it. I prayed about it. And we went back in that day and they said, hey, there's a little less fluid in there than last time. I said, okay, that's a move in the right direction. Not 100%, but closer on the percentage that I want. And he said, there is, and it's just a small amount of fluid, but we don't want any fluid in there. And so he said, we can drain it out and go ahead and implant the embryo if that's what you want to do. And I sat there in the consultation room with my husband and the doctor. And I felt like God said to me in that moment, "If you don't have this baby, it's not gonna be on me, it's gonna be on you." And I'm like, "Excuse me, sir? What are you saying?"
Mm.
Like, he's telling me
Really?
that he's telling me this doesn't look great. This doesn't seem like, this is not the ideal circumstance. This is not what I would have chosen for you necessarily. It's not dangerous or harrowing or anything, but this is my body that is going through procedures and medications and waiting and all those things. And so I'm like, what? You telling me to go for this? You telling me to do this when the man said we should probably just wait a couple more weeks, or it probably would have been more like 4 to 6 weeks or so. You telling me to go now? But in my heart, I knew in that moment, like, if you don't do it now, it's not gonna be on me that you don't have this baby. It's gonna be on you. And so I said, let's do it. I said, let's do it. And however many days later, it's like 14 days later, I peed on that little stick and it turned.
Mm.
And that little stick turned. That little stick turned pink, child. Okay. And so here's the thing. I had every reason not to do it because
Right.
I had failed cycles before. And here's the other part about it. I was kind of like, again, like we here again, but I also had this other part of me that refused to not hope that my time was coming, that my turn was going to come. And that one little piece of hope was just like, hey, if it doesn't work and you still want to have this baby, you can go again if that's what you want to do. And yes, every single time it's costing you money. So I understand spending money and not getting the result. I understand like disappointment. And there have been moments in that journey when I was like, I can't take another disappointment. There have been moments where the disappointment is like choking you. You feel like you can't even breathe. So if that is you, where you haven't finished your degree, you don't have the career you want, you are afraid to start the business, you have had your heart broken from so many men, you just like, there's no way that I have a husband out there. If it is, you really want to travel the world and you feel like you ain't never going to get out your hometown, you have to decide. You have
Yeah.
to make a decision about whether or not you're willing to bet on you, to
Mm.
hope again, and to count up the cost and say, you know what? I've lived through disappointment. Disappointment is not going to kill me. And guess what? If it works, how fantastic this is going to be. That's what happened.
Period, Pooh.
That's what happened.
So,
That's what,
and guys, here's the thing. We are not trying to pretend that you're going to listen to this fabulous episode and fear is
yeah.
going to be
No,
okay. So we
no.
got to give you a few little practices to incorporate. First and foremost, I want you to just get curious in those moments where you are pausing, where you are hesitating, where you have been praying for something, you get presented with an opportunity, and now all of a sudden you're not sure anymore. In
Mm,
those moments, I want you to practice getting curious about what's actually happening. Is this wisdom or is this fear? Because we should act with wisdom, but we should not let fear make decisions for us. Okay. Then I want you to choose some practices, and we'll include the link for the anchor hour cards as well. Because sometimes when you are in a season where you are really praying and believing for something to change, and you are put it in the vision book, and you have done all the things, you need something sometimes tangible. You might need a certain type of devotional. You might need those anchor hour cards. You might need, something beyond just thinking to actually get there. Sometimes it's like I'm going, what they say, marching around the walls of Jericho. Maybe you got to find your neighborhood and march around that sucker, whatever. Okay.
good.
So that you can remind yourself of what's possible for you and not just the worst case scenario. And then, guys, and I say this all the time.
What?
Confidence doesn't come from sitting there thinking harder. You must do the
Right.
things. You
Right.
must take the actions. You must make the decisions. You must actually move in the direction of that thing that you want. That clarity comes through movement. That confidence comes as you get clearer. You must do those things. So every time you have an opportunity to do something that moves you closer to that dream, do it. And then spend some time like reflecting on that. Like spend some time reflecting on that because sometimes we forget just how wonderful we are, how capable we are, how many times God has shown up for us in the past. You need to spend that time in that reflection. I know a lot of people do not like to write, but sometimes you got to pull out that pen and you got to journal that stuff on out so that you can really remind yourself, like, yes, I have gone through things and they have been hard, but guess what? I'm still here.
Right.
I'm still
And
capable of doing those things.
right, you were here for a reason, right? One other thing I want to add to that too is that some of us are so concerned about taking care of other people that we're not holding space for our own dream, and we're fearful about what will happen if we focus on ourselves. We're fearful about, well, if I spend this money, then what if Pookie need this money? If I start
Mhm.
this business, then what about, XYZ? They might need some help on their car payment, but I done spent this money on starting this business. And
Done
so
it.
all and so I just wanna come back and say, "Hey, you are not God. You are not God." And see God in other people's lives. Let other people find their way to God as their source, find their way to God as their means, find their way to a job application, find their way to better decisions. Like let somebody else take care of themselves and find a way to make space for your dream in your heart because there is room for that. Now this is a practical example. If you are the kind of person who's like, I do not want to, I am worried about spending this money to start my business. What if we need something here at the house? Okay, save up $1,000 and then do it. Save up $1,000. That's your deductible on your homeowner's insurance. That'll get you a new tire. That'll get you a new battery. That'll pay for a lot of different things. Save up $1,000 and then take a chance. Give yourself 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year to try something to go in the direction of your dream, whatever that is. Hey, if you want to date someone, you feel like you do want to be in a relationship, you've been declining every single day. Let your bestie tell you about her cousin. Let go ahead and meet up at the picnic table with somebody or something, right? Like there are these little small things. Here's a small example. If you're the person who has a hard time choosing the menu item to eat, somebody's going to identify with this, Cal. Because some of us are be like, "Oh, I don't know what to get on the menu. Everything looks so good. What if I get? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know." Some of us are so bound up that we won't even choose the menu item for fear that we're going to order the wrong thing or we're not going to like our food. This is
My
what you
God, my
do.
God.
Order the menu item. Just order it. And here's the conversation. You know what? This is not my last meal. If this was not great, I'll have another meal later on today or I'll have another meal tomorrow. If I don't like this meal, I'm going to find the best thing on here that I can enjoy out of it and eat that. Or if you don't like it, if I don't like it, I'll order something else. Like learn how to make the decision and live with the consequence because the truth of the matter is nothing is ever 100%. Nothing is ever perfect, and we can usually live with these outcomes.
Right.
That's the
Right.
truth. That's the truth.
And here's the thing, live with them and make a limit, make some lemonade out the lemons too,
Make some
right?
lemonade out the lemon.
We've been doing that. So fear does not have to run the show. You don't
Right.
need more confidence to
No.
move. You need to move to get the confidence, right?
Right.
You don't need
Yes.
more clarity. The clarity comes like I mean, and really just think about like, this,
What?
with my nice little perimenopausal eyes, just think about the reality, right? If I'm looking across the street, if I'm looking across the wall to try and read something, it's gonna get clearer as I get closer.
Ooh, now that's a word.
That's the Holy Ghost. I didn't even, it's not written nowhere. It's gonna get clearer as you get closer. You want it to get clear, but you still standing still.
Too far back. You too far back, baby. Walk, baby. Walk. That's all she's saying. Walk. Just get closer to it.
I'm not saying you can't hear fear. I'm just saying fear ain't the boss. Fear doesn't get to have the final say. Love should have the final say. Faith should have the final say. Power should have the final say. Your history, your resume should have the final say. All of those things should have the final say. And if you have a hard time with that, like I said, check the description box. We'll have a few resources there for you. But guys, as you are walking this out, as you are getting curious, as you're noticing these different things, just make sure that you continue to act in accordance with where you're going and not where you have been.
We can end right there, baby. That's it. Act on where you're going, not where you have been. That's it right there. I said what I said.
As per usual, we love y'all.
We love you. I love you to life plan. And over here, we don't play. We're not playing over here. We just not. Because we love y'all too much to play with y'all. We're not playing with y'all. And here's the thing. Anything we've told you goes double for us. Anything that we're telling you, anything we're
Period.
telling you to work on, we have either worked on it or will continue to work on it. So anything that we are saying is because we have lived it. We are living it. We are not out here doing something that we will not tell. We are not telling you to do something that we won't do. Period.
When I said that this devotional come in right on time, I'm just gonna say that one came in right on time.
Right. Right.
So know that. And here's the thing: we all are just living, right? This is our first time doing life,
Right.
and we figuring it out as we go. But fear is not the boss. Fear is not in
No,
control.
no,
We are living our best lives, and fear cannot run the show. So we hope this was a great episode for you. We want you to do a couple things. Number one, drop a comment. If this was good for you, drop a comment and let us know. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about next.
yes.
Definitely share this, like it, subscribe, rate it. All the things that helps people to be able to see it.
Yes.
But definitely share this with a sister friend. I mean,
Mhm.
you don't have to call her a scaredy cat. Just share it. And then she'll see whether or not she's a scaredy cat.
Don't call her a scaredy cat. Don't do that. Don't call her a scaredy cat. Yeah, but share it with her. Share it with her, and if she feels like a scaredy cat as she's listening it, she now has information. She has information.
Correct.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
we love y'all and we want to pass along love.
Yes, we do. Every single time we hear in the
So
Love
we'll
You to Life.
see y'all next time.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.